The Battle of the Atlantic Commemorative Gardens has been opened by the Princess Royal Princess Anne on the Liverpool waterfront. The Church of Our Lady and St Nicholas, otherwise known to locals as St Nick's, hosted the event at the Spring Bank Holiday Weekend 2023. After the church service, the dignitaries and veterans came out to the garden to hear Princess Anne's thought on this new memorial.
Ladies and gentlemen, veterans, what a pleasure it is to join you today, and well done the assembled clergy for getting the weather right. It's a very difficult thing to define and a very easy thing to forget, the Battle of the Atlantic. How do you explain it? Well, the impact of the Battle of the Atlantic on World War II is hard to describe, but this has been a supreme effort to get that story told properly. We've forgotten, I think, the impact of the war on the ordinary people of Britain, on their lives. Quite a few of you here will remember that you all had ration books, but we don't really understand just what an impact that had. This memorial is really important to keep the Battle of the Atlantic as a story properly told, because it's a battle that lasted longer than any other. And we need to remember the lives lost. We need to remember that there were over 3,500 merchant ships lost and 175 warships lost. The scale of the battle throughout the Second World War. And although the 24th of May 1943 was accepted as the turning point when the majority of the U-boats were withdrawn from the North Atlantic, it did go on, and it went on right to the end of the war. And we must not also forget that 70% of those U-boat crews were lost as well. I come here wearing a couple of hats, not least of all as patron of the Battle of the Atlantic Memorial Trust, since the first plans to commemorate the Battle of the Atlantic were developed. And I'm so glad that this garden is now here to tell that story. I also come with my hat as the Wren's senior officer and master of the Corporation of Trinity House. And I'm delighted that these stories are being told together. A monument probably would have been difficult and inappropriate. We can also remember here that it was home for the families of those who went to sea, the hundreds of people, I have to say mainly Wrens, who gave tactical support to the convoys from the western approaches at HQ, just round the corner from here, and very much a part of this story. But above all, can I thank the chairman, committee, supporters for their sheer persistence as well as good judgment on how to tell this story. The Battle of the Atlantic was a victory. It did have a very high cost. But we can celebrate not just the success in bringing ships here with everything that was needed to supply the Allies, but also to feed the nation. And that too was a triumph of international cooperation. So thank you all for wanting to keep this story alive and doing so in such an interesting way. I'm delighted to open this garden, and I sincerely hope there will be a great many people who will want to come and contemplate the impact and the effect of the Battle of the Atlantic and the people who were lost. Thank you for joining us today.
Gentlemen, if you turn and face, you'll see a swordfish, a fairy swordfish, passing by at the beginning of our fly past of historic aircraft. And so the swordfish, which was first flown in April 1934, next in the fly past is the Battle of Britain memorial flight. It will consist of an Avro Lancaster, a Supermarine Spitfire, and a Hawker Hurricane.